Hello and welcome to the third season of PrivacyCast, where we bring you the best minds of data privacy across the globe. And here today, we are here to talk about the strategies undertaken to minimize privacy risks in the health sector. Today, we're going to talk to Mr. Vishwas Vijapure. He's the DPO of Aster DM, works out of Dubai, has been a privacy veteran in the industry, also comes with a legal background. And with his vast experience in healthcare sector, I think he's one of the right guys to tell us how do we decrease the risk in overall privacy infrastructure. My name is Akarsh Singh, and I'm the host of PrivacyCast. A little about myself. I'm CIBP, CIPM, CIPT, FIP, one of the youngest people to be in IBP Asia Advisory Board, also the founder of SARO and SARO Academy. So coming on to Vishwas. So Vishwas, would you like to also introduce yourself in the session?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Akash. Thanks for that brief introduction. Like Akash mentioned, I have a vast experience in implementation of various regulations like HIPAA, GDPR, NIT, ITS, and outsourcing industry. Along with that, I have a great experience in healthcare in terms of implementing the data privacy regimes across the regions. Currently, I'm associated with Aster and working as a group data privacy officer there.
Yeah, and Vishwas, I think with the work that you're doing right now, I think you are the right person for everyone to hear how to tackle healthcare privacy risks specifically, especially in Middle East and also in Asia regions, right? Because Middle East becomes one of the places where we do it first, and then we also kind of look at other regions where we kind of implement privacy. And also because the organization that you work for, I think, is also divided into a few regions in Middle
Yes.
East as well as India. So I think maybe like this may be a good questionnaire and learning for people who are listening to us. So when we think about privacy, right, Vishwas, when we think about privacy and when we think about privacy in healthcare, so what are these, regulations, upcoming regulations or already regulations that are there in Middle East, UAE that are very important for you right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And Akash, it's a very good question to start with. Reason being, in GCC, which is a Gulf Corporation, countries corporation, wherein there are three folds of laws in presence right now, which basically covers the entire flow or kind of processing or controlling of this healthcare information. One is being the regulations passed by the respective departments or regulatory bodies or healthcare bodies. For example, Dubai Health Authority has its own regulation, which specifically talks about how the data should be, or a patient healthcare data should be kind of monitored, regulated, stored, and destroyed as well. Similarly, there are federal level regulations as well at a UAE level, which basically covers the umbrella sort of regulation, which again kind of paves the way to local bodies or local governments to set up their own sort of regulations or laws around it. So that's how the threefold mechanism is there, which makes the healthcare industry as to a lot of exposed to a lot of compliances and obligations as well. And it is rightly so. Reason being, healthcare industry is the one which is kind of exposed to a lot of personal healthcare as well as financial data. So that's the reason why I think this threefold system is
And
there.
also this threefold system, I think that's one of the best ways to kind of understand that also. And just one quick question. I've also been hearing all this buzz about the upcoming privacy law in UAE. So what is your perspective to it? Is it coming? Will it be will it be applicable to healthcare above the threefold system that you're talking about? How are you looking about it, Vishwas?
Yeah, I think Akash, then the upcoming law is basically, I think, will sit on top of all these three sort of layers. Definitely, there are some overlaps in terms of like how what sort of mechanism you need to be doing, and as we all are aware that those 9 principles are same across the regions, same across the laws as well. How do you kind of transparently share the data, then give the rights to the individuals or data subjects. And that's how I think this particular law will bring in more stronger penalties and fines. That's what I felt in comparison to other two. Right now, the regulations or rules published by or in existence by different departments as well as the local bodies are having penalties and fines which are not significant for smaller breaches or repetitive breaches compared to the law which is there, which will be implemented once the the regulation comes into the effect.
Yeah, and also I think one of the reasons why where I saw, especially in Europe and also in US right now, and also the upcoming Indian law and also the Saudi law. So what I have been seeing is the motivation behind has always been the high breach fines. So do you think that
Yes.
upcoming federal law in UAE of privacy will also be motivated by a breach fine that you're looking at? Or do you also think that there are other things like somebody does the jail time or something like that was also maybe there in the law? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, Akarsh. I think in UAE specifically, there are no imprisonment as such, but the fines are significantly higher, which is as much as similar to GDPR fines or European GDPR fines. Whereas some of the countries like Bahrain and other GCC countries, those are, I think, they have a well-established regime by now. They were the pioneers in implementing the privacy laws, and they have 1 to 2 years of jail term along with fines or both. So it depends on how much the impact of the breach is and what sort of preparedness the organization has. The demonstration of privacy needs to be done, and basis that, I think the fines and probably imprisonment terms and
Right,
will be
Vishwas.
decided.
That's exactly what makes our work more serious because I think from an era when I also started into privacy and I think you also started in privacy 6 years back to today, I think the fines are increasing a lot. And
Yes.
organizations are now taking the privacy first approach to solve all their problems because not just in Dubai, not just in Saudi, every country in the world has, I just saw a stat 6 months back that two by third of the world by 2023 will come under a privacy law, right?
Yes.
So a company who's gonna, so I also work with a lot of clients, and the first question that they ask me is, Akash, I'm going to do export. So should I think about privacy data? Should I start selling or should I first get the privacy notice? So that question kind of shows that enforcement by breach is working really, really well for the enforcement agencies and also for the customer. But again, for an organization, we still have to take the privacy journey, still have to spend some time and then become mature. I think this concept is, I think privacy is not a question of yes or no, right? Vishwas, I think
Yeah.
I'm asking
Absolutely.
that question to you. So do you think it's binary or how do you think it's done, by the way, right? It's a tough question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you made a very, very valid point that, it's privacy first approach should be there in terms of organizations, in terms of people. In fact, some of the countries are having strongest regimes in terms of data localization. So the transfer of data and the flow of the data, how do you monitor it, what sort of regulations needs to be there in terms of or compliance framework needs to be there within the organization is again something which is significant, and it puts a lot of emphasis on a people first approach
Yep.
or the privacy first approach. And I think you rightly pointed out it's not a yes or no question. It's a very, very significant
Yeah.
uh, and having a deep sort of thought process in terms of what privacy means to individuals or
And
each
Vishwas, I have
individual.
a very direct question now. I think we have been going in the direction where we're thinking about healthcare and then thinking
Yeah,
about privacy. And now my question is, what would an organization do, right? How would they assess? So we talk about this privacy, right? We throw privacy around
yeah.
as a jargon, but what do we do as compliance to make sure that the customer gets privacy? So what is it that has to be done? Is it an assessment? Is it a PIA? What is it that you have to do, in UAE once that law hits the floor? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Akash, there are two, three aspects which are very important. First of all, the implementation of those privacy by design and privacy by default needs to be happening. Reason being, a lot of healthcare has gone digital because of COVID. I think one of the positives of COVID will be kind of, going digital. The healthcare has gone digital, wherein a lot of these applications, a lot of these, websites which are kind of, coming up. So it becomes very important, not only from a patient walking into any hospital or a patient walking into a clinic. It becomes virtually also important to have those flows of or the systems or privacy by design and privacy by default implementation. One of the important aspect. Second most important thing is I felt that transfer impact assessments and privacy impact assessments are going to be a huge sort of
Yeah, and because you
boost.
talk about transfer impact assessment, is there a stoppage on data transfer outside of UAE, especially for healthcare
Yes.
data? Do you think we cannot just share it anymore? Like once
Yeah,
the law hit?
absolutely, Akash. There are very stringent regulations or data localizations regime present in UAE, in fact, in GCC. Each country talks about storing the entire data about healthcare information within the particular region, and the kind of the flow, if it has to happen, it has to happen with approvals, having transfer impact assessments and privacy impact assessments being done, and then only case by case basis, provided there are certain exceptions, like if there is a life threatening event, and if it is in the interest of a lot of people and everything, then only the transfer should happen. And I think this is what is the challenging portion for a lot of organizations. Reason being, I think most of these organizations are global healthcare service providers, and they have their offices in different parts of the world. And for educational purposes, training purposes, or for any other purposes, these data flows are important. And how do we kind of cater to those particular requests, or kind of making sure that that data flows seamlessly, is something which is again something going to be very important for the
Right,
organizations.
Vishwas. Vishwas, I have a question out of our thought process right now, but I know our listeners, would definitely love to know that. Uh, how do you think, right? What is that first step you would take, right? Because the upcoming law is there in UAE. So what is the first step you would take once you think, okay, I have to comply to the law, it's coming in privacy, not just for healthcare, for any organization in UAE. What is that first step, first two, three things that they have to do, Vishwas?
Yeah, absolutely, Akarsh. I think first and foremost, identification or data segregation needs to happen. What all information we are collecting, data inventory needs to be there, which are very basic things. And I think most of the organizations have started their journey in that direction. But it is very important to understand what processes are, or what touch points are available in the entire organization where the data is coming, or the personal information is coming. At the same time, what processes we have created within the organization at the back end, how the data is flowing, what touch points are there within the organization. Like, for example, human resource department or information technology departments are the two major departments which kind of have a touch point directly with employees or third parties as well, most of the times.
Vishwas, we're
Those
also
departments,
coming towards the end of the session today. So,
yes,
this capsule, privacy capsule, I think it's a great capsule that you gave to all of us, right? And I
yeah,
also feel a lot more educated about UAE's current structure of privacy and the upcoming structure of privacy that's going to change. But I have a question that a lot of people ask me, right? And I have to post that to you because I think you are the right person to answer it. So I know you're a DPO, right? And you're obviously in Dubai, and I think a lot of people actually want to take that route, also, follow your path steps. So what is it that they have to do to maybe like reach a level nearby to you, right? So do you have some advice for our listeners?
yeah. Absolutely. I think first and foremost needs to be exploring different regions in terms of what privacy is kind of offering in different regions, how the privacy is evolving. So the curiosity needs to be there. Second most important thing are the training part, which is very important. I think there are organizations like IPP, and there are healthcare specific organizations as well, which provides the certification. No doubt these certifications are not qualifications as such, but these certifications make you to kind of understand what exactly is required from the particular role or particular skill sets you acquire. And I think third, most important is that how do you see the world around you? How do you see your privacy? I think that's more important. How do you implement those rules and whatever learnings you have taken within yourself or within your life? And I think that's how probably you make yourself more aware, more skilled, and I think that's the journey possibly everyone can embark on.
Sure, Vishwas. And Vishwas, that's one of the best advices that I've heard on Privacy Cast series till now. And obviously, this is our first episode of season 3. And thank you for joining us and letting us know all the important things about the UAE's privacy infrastructure thought process and the upcoming things. And it's great to talk to you. And I just want to thank you, Vishwas, finally for coming on the show. And have a nice day, Vishwas.
Thank you very much.